streaming.
No, we're not.
But it says we are. It's got a... How long is the delay?
I don't know, a few seconds-ish.
I'm at 11 seconds, 12 seconds. Oh, that's because you're on that, so...
Well, I'm on us, though.
Right, but what I'm saying is because I kicked it. The way I kicked it.
Ah, look at that.
What?
Sand Hollow Homestead. I'm going to log out of here now and go on to me. Say hi to everybody. I'm sure you've got people.
Hi, everybody.
Sure, you have people looking.
Oh, that's right. You were logged into you, huh?
No, I was logged into Big Bear, so it's not going to show. Wrap your brain around that one there.
I don't know. So how's everybody doing out there tonight? Everybody see us? Hear us? We're trying a new location with the camera.
Trying to make it where you can see a little bit more of us. I know there was complaints. Well, not complaints. Suggestions that we get closer together. And while we don't mind being close together...
girl cooties, girl cooties.
We kind of wanted to make it where you don't see just all of our faces and that's it.
Live
So.
now.
Alrighty.
Okay, so we're a little early yet.
Yeah, I gotta turn off my volume though. It's gonna be a little bit freaky if you keep hearing that 10-second delay. Alright, see and hear us just fine.
Outstanding.
That's awesome. Do me one favor. We have an air conditioning unit out here, and right now it's not on. But occasionally it may turn on. So if it gets to where we're drowned out by that sound, just let us know. I can turn it off. I mean, we live in Georgia. We're used to the heat. So, well, I'm used to the heat. I don't know about you. That goes back to my argument about...
Wait for yourself.
That goes
The
back
devil himself is not used to this level of heatness. He was underneath that sweet gum tree right over yonder there just yesterday with a sweet tea going, how y'all do this?
See, that goes back to my argument from last week that the real reason why the air conditioning got fixed so quickly was because of you, not me.
Here we go. I'm like Rodney Dangerfield. I get no respect. I mean, I'm not saying it's hot, but dadgum, a couple of hobbits came down the backyard yesterday and threw a couple of rings in the pond.
Grandpa's Farm, hey!
What's up, Grandpa?
And USA Kiwi in Florida. Whew, how hot is it there? I imagine it's pretty hot down in Florida.
They don't get hot in Florida. They get salty.
They get salty. NMS 886, hi from West Virginia. In the mountains.
Y'all are really wet.
Getting probably a little bit cooler than us. Not much, maybe.
Yeah, see, this is how I can prove you don't watch the news. Half of the state of West Virginia is flooded.
Oh, really?
Yes.
Yeah,
How close is it to you, West Virginia? What's his name?
No, not hot. Sweaty. 93. That's in Florida.
Oh,
Grandpa's. Oh, don't even tell him that.
I
Grandpa.
already know. He's in Alaska.
Oh, he is trying so hard to get me up to Alaska, and there's just no way I can cut it.
Here's the thing. What I haven't hit you with yet, Grandpa's selling his homestead.
I've already seen that. He's trying to swap. He was trying to work a barter in the barter page about swapping out his land for some land in Ohio.
Ohio. We're kind of Ohio.
No, not even close.
Okay. Well, it's almost 8 o'clock.
Yeah. No, it's 8:03 is what I have on my...
See, the clock right there, see, NASA calls me for the time.
NASA calls you for the time.
And it says 8 o'clock. Okay.
62 degrees in Alaska. Man, I would love that. I could do 62 degrees.
You heard that, right? But when I say you want to look for some land in Alaska, no.
He said,
no.
He said, sorry, not close enough. I don't blame you. It's definitely, it's a challenge here to grow stuff. You definitely have to know your climate and know how to.
It's like I was talking, I started a conversation with Doug and Stacy about their solar oven.
Right.
I'm a little nervous because of how close we are to the sun here in Georgia that the beef stew might turn into lava stew.
Yeah, it might.
Anyway. Alright, well, let's go ahead and get started. It looks like we're getting a good amount of people in here. Hey, everybody. Hey, who else?
Ava Kinsey.
Hey,
That's
Ava.
a new one. Everybody else has been here.
Hey.
And there's some of you that are watching that aren't chatting. Oh, hey, Jen.
Who's Jen?
South Dakota. That's my...
Woo! I've heard a lot about you.
That's mixing business with pleasure. Grandpa, I don't know how you do it. Minus 30 in the wintertime. See, that is exactly why.
You just ruined it, Grandpa. Just ruined it.
I'm with Ava. Ava said I don't do cold. No Alaska for me either.
See, here's my problem. And I'm going to say this early because everybody's still coming in and it's a family show. But I want y'all to think about y'all that say you can't handle the cold. I want y'all to think it like this. You can put on an infinite amount of layers. You can only take off so much. That's all I'm going to say.
Hey, Daniel. I hope Chris is watching too. Hey, guys. Go for green.
Hey. Okay, so let's go ahead and get kicked off. I'm kind of excited about tonight's show.
Why?
I was waiting for that. Thank you very much. I'm excited for many reasons.
Okay.
One, we're going to announce the winner from last week, which we only had one. Only one entry out of the 3.
I'm a little heartbroken about that, but that's okay. We're still new at this.
That's probably because everybody was feeling bad for me because of how mean you are to me sometimes.
No, I don't think so.
But our winner is Daniel and Krista from Go for Green Living.
Yep.
Guys, we're going to send that stuff out to you probably on Tuesday because Monday's a federal holiday, so it'll be en route. Congratulations. And speaking of Go for Green Living, this is number 2 while I'm so excited tonight. We actually get to hand it off to somebody tonight.
That's right.
Go for Green Living has joined the Homesteading Network.
Which is so exciting. Wait, what did she say? Awesome! It's like my new favorite thing to watch on when we're watching their videos. I always listen. I'll be in the kitchen cooking or making the bed and I can hear her say that and I'm like, oh, I know who he's watching. It's absolutely wonderful. Don't stop. That is so cool.
So we're handing off there right after us. So you guys that tune in for us and are excited about us and then you come back Saturday and Sunday, well, guess what? You get to stay a little bit later now on Friday because Go for Green Living follows us. And if you have not subscribed to those guys, you're missing out huge.
Lots and lots of information.
I was going to sing your song, but...
No, he's not allowed to butcher it. You do such a great job.
Told me I wasn't allowed to.
No.
But he has an awesome theme song. They made their house. I know we're supposed to be talking about something, but I just love that channel. I do. They're one of my favorite channels. I'm sorry everybody else, but they are. He made his house out of the clay.
Yes, I saw part of that.
And he made that a heater.
Well, his mass, what's it called? Large mass heater or something?
I don't know, but I want to build one.
Yeah, well, and I really loved his idea of taking it's a good lesson in what true homesteaders really do, where they try to take things that otherwise people would consider waste and using them for
a purpose.
Like all the cans and bottles that could be in a waste, a landfill or something like that. They end up, using all of that. Yeah, they built a wall out of it, and then I loved his idea where he put them together to see if they would. And
they touched the pipe so that
so it could transfer more heat. So we are definitely going to be working on something like that.
Yeah, we're Go for Green junkies. We're what were they called back in the 80s when they followed we're groupies.
Groupies, yeah.
We're
be careful.
Groupies. We're gonna stalk now. But anyway, all right, let's get into today's show.
All right.
Okay.
Rocket mass, that's what it's called. Rocket mass heater. Yeah, we love it.
Today's show, even though I'm very excited about today's show, it does have a little bit of a depressing, sad undertone to it. In a way.
We're going to talk about some sad stuff, but overall it's actually an uppity kind of subject to me because...
Well, you're the glasses half full.
I am. I'm a glasses half full kind of person. I definitely believe in always trying to find the silver lining in something.
That's why she married me. She found the silver lining. I don't know what she found, but she found it. She said it was gold, so...
Yeah, something like that.
So, anyway...
The fool's gold. Sorry. Anyway. Whoa. That was weird. So, when you're doing a homestead...
You're gonna get your heart broken.
Right.
I'm gonna, real quick, I wrote down some stuff of basically all of the heartbreaks that we have had on our homestead since we started back in 08, 07.
07.
So
right after Ladessa was born.
Yeah.
07.
So I almost filled up one page, but I stopped because I was getting
It
upset.
got a little depressing. We started going through and listing stuff, and at first it was really hard because, you know, we try to block that stuff out. But then the more we got on to rambling about it, you finally looked at me and said, "That's enough."
No, I'm about to go drink Drano.
And then I kind of looked at you like, "Why are we stop? Why do we do this now?" Because it seems like it seems like every year we have something that happens.
Well, how many times have I called a family meeting because I've been so frustrated and so upset, and I've called a family meeting and said, we're going to take a vote. Are we going to keep doing this or not?
How many of y'all have had that? I would be interested to see how many people have been like, they think they're doing the right thing and they're all in it, and then something happens that just totally rocks the household, and they have to kind of look at it and go, okay, are we really still doing what we're supposed to be doing?
Or are we meant to do this? And I'll give you, and it's on the list, I'll give you a prime example that really made me go, are we really meant to do this? And it's kind of a funny story now.
I'm going to adjust this a little bit.
Okay, adjust.
Yeah.
It's kind of a funny story now, but then it was really frustrating. Like, I just wanted to just punch myself in the face. It's when we hatched out all of those chicks and we got them up, and it was time to bring them out, and we were free ranging everything then because we didn't really have a lot of grass to be able to rotate pasture, so we were just letting everybody go.
Well, we were only on 2.5 acres.
Right.
So.
And it was time because they've outgrown the brooder cages that we had them in.
Right, because they were in a big, we had built a pretty big cage, but we had a lot of chickens.
Like if you go and watch our raising quail video, the quail were up here, they were down there. There was like one or two rogue ones still left when we filmed that video.
Right.
And that video was,
anyway,
not the quality
that was back before we
got the DSLR and HVX and all that. Anyway.
Right. Anyway.
So we took all of these birds, and we were so excited because we must have had like 20, 30.
It was a big hatch for us.
Yeah.
We were all excited because we were getting ready to like double our flock. Like we were so excited.
And so we were just putting them down in the rabbit hutch that we had built, and they were running out. And they all got out, and the rabbit hutch was like here, okay? Let me get in the camera. Here. And then the pig pen, the door was like right here. So the pig pen that we had at the time was all the way across. Well, it wasn't really that long, but it was almost like straight across. And now when we look back, we were like,
we were so stupid.
Yeah.
What were we thinking?
But we just turned them loose, and these birds ran. I'm like Elmer Fudd tonight. They ran straight into the pig pen.
No. You're telling this wrong. They were coming into the chicken because we had a coop for them. We had put together a coop in the yard area, and the yard area and the pig pen were about probably.
That's right. They were side by side,
but not side by side. I mean, there was a good bit of distance between them, but they weren't like side by side.
Because that power pole was in the way. There was maybe 10 or 15 feet
at least
between them.
But anyway,
I'm sorry, you're
put them in
right.
there, and what happened was the fencing that we had the original chickens in was big enough to keep adults in, but not big enough to keep little pullets in.
Well, they. Right.
And we brought them in.
And they ran around, and
the next thing we knew, we saw white, and that's what was crazy was they were all good at this white leghorn, but our own leghorn. So they were supposed to be really good layers. We were all excited, and we turned them loose, and they were white, and they have that red comb. And we saw the white just jet through the fence, and before we could do anything about it,
they were all in the pig pen. And I got over to the pig pen.
All you saw.
And you could tell the pigs were lined up in like a half moon, and they were like, "Oh, delivery."
Yeah, they thought they got.
By the time we got over there was nothing but a couple of red combs left and a few feathers.
I mean,
and the pigs were like.
It was horrible. I could not. I mean. Like, we looked at each other and we're like, did that just really happen?
Did we
just do that?
Yeah. That was probably, when we were reminiscing before the show, that was probably the hardest one that hit me.
And that one doesn't. And that was just and see, this is where that glass is half full comes in, is that we learned from that experience. Yeah. We learned.
We should have known.
Well, but again, and I think everybody goes through this. I think there are times when you do something and you think you know things pretty well, and you're not thinking a couple steps ahead, going, what could happen? Yeah. And we ended up learning the hard way on that one. What could happen? So we learned really quick not to put pigs anywhere near any of our other live animals, because you don't want to ever take that chance.
Like, look, it's DiGiorno.
Yeah, that's it. They thought they had chicken pizza, like chicken nuggets.
But we also had dogs get in the chickens. We've lost bunnies.
You're gonna just breeze through these?
Yeah, I'm just gonna breeze through them real quick because it's kind of a long list. We got hit with the
Now remember, we're talking about almost 10 years. So this isn't something that happened to us over like 2 years where we just want to like kill ourselves. Yeah, this is just, we
got hit with the colony collapse. We got hit with small hive beetles and wax moths.
And that was heartbreaking to me because we were doing really well with selling honey at that point. And
we had a waiting list.
I don't know how many people know this, but you used to do nuisance wildlife as your profession. And so one of the things you used to do was go get honeybee hives out of people's houses. And so whenever we had that, we would add we would add a whole other hive to our colony. And it was
the one dairy farm down the road switched to Monsanto corn.
Yeah.
And
that was it. We had colony collapse, and then one weekend so much that it was heartbreaking, because all of a sudden we went from having all of this honey to having like none, and now we're only down to the one hive. So
we had a power company come through for your it was Georgia Power. They came through and they were clearing around power lines and the telephone poles, and they subbed out to another company. And they were spraying a kill-all just to kill stuff around the telephone poles, and the guy was just walking up our driveway just spraying
just
like this.
General herbicide, pesticide, whatever, and he was just waving his wand every which way.
That cost us a calf, a pig, turkeys, chickens, rabbits. We had to learn about what happens with a prolapse and how after.
Well, yeah.
When something's given birth, it happened to us with a pig, but you gotta try to figure out a way to get in there to make sure everything.
And that was crazy.
Everything is okay, because our sow, we knew she was pregnant. We knew about the time, so we stuck her in a stall with fresh straw and everything. She moved into the Hilton, and boom, she delivered her 12.
Well, that's the thing. We had 2 females.
Yes.
And the first one had gone really well. And then the second sow, that's the one you're talking about. She had her litter. And because we didn't have to do a lot with the first one, we kind of assumed, well...
No, see, now you're telling the story.
No, the other thing is that I don't know how many of y'all have raised pigs with babies, but they're uber protective.
Uber protective. And that's what I was getting ready to say.
Right.
Is we brought her in there. She delivered 12 or 13. We would take a step in there to try to check to make sure everything was okay, and she would jump up and start pushing us back out. And so we said, okay, she's good to go, and left her alone. But 3 or 4 days later, she was done. She got infected, and it was just real nasty. And we had a cow that could jump a fence. It was like the Michael Jordan of cows. This cow could clear a 6-foot fence and not cut an udder, not cut a teat. She just blew.
Well, to be fair, she was a full-blooded Holstein, and she was like over 6 feet tall.
Still, is that a question?
No.
Have we had a question?
No, but let me tell you what's going on in this conversation. One, Grandpa's Farm said, don't argue with me, because even if you win, you lose. That's very wise information there. Sandra was joking and said, don't fall into the pen. They like fresh meat. And Grandpa had to add his information in. He said, Sandra, no joke. an older neighbor lady of ours was eaten by her hogs. They knocked her down, and that was it. Her remains were found days later. And that's another good thing that we have learned. We do know that the pigs can be super protective. One of the things that we were floored by was that our male pig was often more protective than the mom.
That was with the razor.
That was no, even with when we had Obama. Obama was very protective.
Yes. We named a pig. Oh, no. Public service announcement. When we picked the pigs up, it was right around election time the first time. And it was Carol Ann's turn to
name the pigs or name the animals.
Name the animals. And all in the news at that time, all you were hearing was Obama, Pelosi, and Clinton. Mm-hmm. So when we bought 2 females and a male pig,
that's what she wanted to name them.
The rest is just history.
Yeah.
But anyway, back to the list. We had cows that got hit by an 18-wheeler due to feral dogs.
Yeah.
You know, we had a cow that got
impacted because we were raising pigs, and we would collect slop from where I worked. We would put the food in little trash bags, and I'd bring them home, and we'd put them in. We'd put them into the slop bucket, and unfortunately we didn't have a trash can out where we would empty those, and I'm not going to say who it was, but whoever.
Teenager.
Left a couple, he wasn't a teenager at the time, but he left the bags in the the rabbit hutch that we had at the time.
And that door would not secure.
Yeah, it wouldn't close very well, and one day one of the cows got in there, which was a feat all in itself because it was raised up off the ground, and the door wasn't that wide, but somehow he managed to get in there. And a couple days later we noticed he wasn't very active, wasn't feeling well, and he was real bloated, and we found out that he was impacted, and we ended up losing him to that. So we learned the hard way that we got to make sure that either we don't ever have plastic bags around, like even feed bags. We started, because back when we were using bags of feed, we had to make sure that we kept the feed bags locked away so that we didn't,
so they didn't rip the feed bags open.
Right.
We also had a wormy ewe, and then we had, and this was very weird.
Okay, I don't know where you're going with this.
Our ewe that we have right now.
No.
She finally had her first lamb with us.
But she wasn't with us when it happened. She was being sheared.
She finally had her first lamb with us 2 years ago, 3 years ago. Anyway, some time ago.
2 years ago.
And how can I say this and not give away the surprise that I'm going to give away, that I'm going to talk about at the end?
I don't know.
Anyway, when she ewed, my wife is right. When she threw, she was not
with us
here. She was off. And when she got brought back to us, for some reason or another, she separated from that lamb, and that lamb got lost, and we had that cold snap.
Well, I think.
And the lamb died.
Okay, so the real story of what actually happened, they were staying together at night, and at night we put eyes on them and everybody was okay. The next morning we found the lamb down by the water, and the ewe, because we had put them in a pen, and somehow it looked like the lamb had gotten out, but the ewe couldn't get out because the hole was not, again, one of those judging the size of your containment area. You got to be really aware of how big that is.
So with all of that being said, over the last decade we had all of those heartaches, all of those, and those are just some. Now keep in mind, when we first started, over half of this list happened when we first started, and way back then there wasn't a big family homestead, there wasn't a Go for Green living out there, at least not on YouTube.
Not at the time, yeah.
There wasn't Off the Grid with Doug and Stacy back then. There was not this community back then that was on YouTube where we could real quick run in, try to search, find it. It just wasn't there because we did try that. And so we had to learn through the school of hard knocks.
Yeah.
The hard way that stuff now is it's all over YouTube.
Well, and we're putting it on YouTube. That's one of the reasons why we started our channel. You need to secure. You don't really need to. If you're gonna have chickens, in a coop, you might not want to use chicken wire except for across along the bottom, but you want to put welded fence behind it to give it more strength, and then the chicken wires to help keep the wee ones from popping out. When it comes to snakes, and you got a quail hutch, you want to wrap it in hardware cloth instead of chicken wire because that'll stop snakes from getting in. You want to put it in a location to where the snakes really can't get to it. Like we moved ours with our chickens, so if the snake wants to get to the quail, he's got to go through the chickens.
He's got a fighting chance now.
Mm-hmm.
He can do it.
Yeah.
He can do it, but he's got to get through all those chickens. Right?
Mm-hmm. And the other thing, like a couple of things we've also learned, like things where we didn't necessarily lose animals, but like with the quail, we learned that we needed to put a bigger.
We went from a quarter inch. You're right. Went from the quarter inch to the half inch, so that way the doo-doo could fall through.
Right, because it was caking up on their feet. And now, granted, we didn't lose any to that, but we had some pretty miserable birds for a little bit because we had to literally.
They had some Liza Minnelli poo rings on.
We had to literally pull it off, so that we could. So. Okay, so a little bit of the conversation they're all talking about not using plastic bags at all. We've definitely gone that route now where we use our own bags too. But at the time, this wasn't just our bags. This was people collecting slop for us, and they'd tie it up in a bag and leave it.
We had a lot of people at our old church that started saving their leftovers, and they would put it in a Kroger bag or a Walmart bag, and then bring it to church either on Wednesdays or Sunday nights and be like, here.
Right.
So that's where a lot of that came from. That wasn't us. We use a 5-gallon bucket for our slop. We always have, always will.
Right. Now, another part of the conversation is, isn't it interesting that the critters never have their young when it's convenient?
Amen. Case in point.
Just this year.
This year, January, our cow, Daisy.
Now, this is a funny story. You should kind of tell this story, not just that. In April, the previous year, last year in April, go ahead.
You sure?
If you're going to tell it right. If you're not going to tell it right, I'm going to interject.
You're going to interject.
Yes, always.
In April, we weaned Daisy from her last calf, Delma.
Mm-hmm.
And so she come around and she cycled. Well,
our cow is known.
She
likes to go clubbing.
She went out. She
took a walkabout, jumped the fence. Went to go see her boyfriend.
Jumped another fence and went to go see Delma's daddy.
Mm-hmm.
She was literally there 12 hours or less.
Less, because
that's just
12 hours ish.
We brought her home. She never jumped the fence again. She stayed fine. Of course, we raised the fence. This time it's like 8 strands of barbed wire across the back.
And we fixed the back side of his fence too, so she couldn't get in that way either.
So nothing. Didn't think nothing else of it. We're milking. She would, what we thought, because it was my son's responsibility to milk, we'd watch it fluctuate around once a month, almost right around the same time. Okay, so she's still cycling. We got to get a bull. We got to get a bull. That's what we kept saying. Got to get a bull. Well, January, before, November, October, November, December, my wife's going, she's pregnant. No. There's no way. She's still cycling.
The milk keeps going down.
We got fooled by this before. She's just a healthy cow. That's just a healthy rumen. Leave it alone. Stop. She's not pregnant.
And you kept telling me that. And I kept telling you. And this is the thing, that part of what we're talking about here is we had learned to be really vigilant of our animals. And so I was very sensitive to that part, and so I started mentioning it and getting a little bit more persistent, and you just kept telling me, no, I'm not gonna get excited about this until the calf drops out on the floor.
So she kept going on. She was bringing people over to the house. Don't you think that cow's pregnant? The cow is still having her cycle. She can't be pregnant. Well,
Now, hold on. Unbeknownst to him, I went back and looked to see when was the day that she jumped the fence.
yes, because we posted about it on Facebook or something.
I had messaged one person I don't normally message, so I was able to go back pretty quickly and look at it. So I looked at it, found it.
And then she did the math.
Right.
And so as the day kept getting closer by her math numbers that she's supposed to be having a calf, I'm going out there with her now too because I'm getting frustrated. You need to come look at her. You need to come look at her. I tell you, you can tell. It's moving in there. It's not moving.
She's just healthy. That's what you kept telling me.
I went out there.
Keep in mind, it's the middle of the winter now, and it's not like she has as much to feast on as the summertime.
And so, at one point in time, I said, maybe. I'll give you a maybe, because I'm not 100% there feeling. It just doesn't make sense to me because she's still cycling. And so the day come around, and she come home from work, and she went out there.
Because I knew.
She went out there and she come back quick. And she's like, she didn't say anything to me. And she always, usually when she goes out there to check on it, she'll come back and she goes, I'm telling you she's pregnant. I'm telling you she's pregnant. But she didn't say nothing this time.
Well, keep in mind.
So I was like, wonder why she's so quiet. And she went straight into the bedroom. I said, so as a husband, I started running through my brain. What did I do? What did I do? What did I do? Because that was usually the I'm upset with you walk, and she goes straight to the bedroom, which means I got to give her about 30, 45 minutes, and I got to go get a willow tree and come back. But she come back out, and she's like, Jason, this is what I saw. And she had something pulled up on the internet. That's what she looked like right there. And I was like, let's go. So we went out there, and we went to the spot to where she was at. Cow wasn't there. And I said, oh boy. I said, well, she's not even here now. And so we went looking for her. And she was in a bunch of briars and everything like that. And I said, she's laying down over there. And we took a couple of more steps, and it wasn't her. It was just a big old white face of a brand new calf.
You left out the best part of this whole story.
What?
What was the weather like?
It was cold, but it didn't start sleeting.
It was snowing, Jason.
It didn't start snowing until after we got out there.
Oh my God, you're killing me. He's totally messed up this entire story from the very beginning. Because the big true story is, the whole reason that day what he's left out is normally I don't get home till late. And I left work early because we knew there was supposed to be a snowstorm that evening. And I also knew...
That evening.
And I also knew that, well, evening at that time is like 5 o'clock, Jason. Come on now.
That's about what time it was. It didn't start snowing
Exactly. That's about what time it was. So the point is when I got home from work, I went and checked on her. And at that point, I had seen her mucus flow. And I knew what I saw.
That's what I said.
And so, no, that's not what you said. But anyway, so I came back in, researched it, and my son and I were going to walk back out there and check on her before it got dark. And what happened is you started wondering why Blaze and I were in cahoots and not bothering you about it. And at that point, it was, well, you kept telling me, no, she's not pregnant, no, she's not pregnant. I didn't even want to bother you with it. So then when I told you what was going on and showed you, it was really funny because it was like a WikiHow, which I don't normally look at Wikipedia or anything like that, but that was the one that showed up. It had pictures, and there was a picture of what was going on, and it said, if you're gonna be rude, I'm gonna leave.
I've already said this.
No. You don't tell all the good parts of it. But the big point of this whole thing was it snowed, and it was snowing when she had the calf. She had
anyway, it snowed when we were out there, it was snowing. I had to pick the calf up and try to carry her out of the briars. Got her up this hill. In the meantime, my son ran back to try to get a makeshift sled or something. That way we could drag this calf all the way back. Because we were a good quarter of a mile away from the house, from the closest barn. And we knew we needed to get this calf in this barn.
Because the barn that we had back there had been destroyed by the pigs. So there was nowhere for her to go.
And my truck is a two-wheel drive, not a four-wheel drive. And way back in that pasture, there's some real... Anybody that lives in Alabama, Mississippi, Georgia, some parts of South Carolina
wherever
know
that clay
about
is.
clay.
Yeah.
And it gets slick. And so I wasn't going to risk getting the truck stuck and then having to mess with all of that because there's no good way to get it out if we got it down there, because we've gotten it stuck down there before. And so we had to drag this calf all the way back up to the milking barn, put him in the milking barn. So we didn't get done getting her up here till, 9, 10 o'clock?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So, yes, we know all about animals just picking the wrong time.
Well, that was, and the whole reason we were so vigilant about that happening was because of the losses we've had before. Because just a couple years ago is when we lost the lamb, and when that was a rough winter. Because we had that lamb, and we were so excited, and then the lamb died. And then Blaze went out there one morning and found out that the pig had thrown all of her piglets
out.
And thrown them out of the pig pen, and there was only one left.
I thought that was before the lamb.
No. Well, they might have been but they were within the same
within close,
winter, and it was. I mean, you want to talk about, that was one of those where we had a family meeting and said, okay, are we going to really do this? Because this is ridiculous. We're losing. We only had one piglet that survived out of that. We had no lamb now because we've been waiting for the lamb.
And we had no more calves and cows either, because during the fall, isn't that when the calves got hit before the winter?
I think so.
We had a pack of feral dogs come through,
bounced them out,
and pushed them out of the electric fence.
And we got woken up 1 o'clock in the morning.
I thought it was later than 1 o'clock in the morning.
No, it was 1 in the morning. Knock on the door.
Knocking on the door from the sheriff's department, because they ran them all the way to the county highway, and they got hit by an 18-wheeler. And we only had one left. We had 3 of them that were all for meat. Yeah. And we had one of them already had a deposit on it, and
that was rough too.
Yeah, but so how do you stay motivated to
keep going,
keep doing this homesteading life when you're pouring your heart and soul and blood and sweat and tears and finances into doing all of this, and you're going good for a little bit, and then bow, you hit a wall and you fail, or you do something and it costs you something that you've been planning on.
Well, I mean, one thing, cows are not cheap.
No.
You don't just buy a cow for $50. They're expensive. So when we bought those calves, we had a good bit of money in them, and we lost 2 out of the 3. And one of those 3 was already sold. So we were in trouble. One thing that Grandpa's farm said earlier in the conversation was that basically when you're in a homesteading environment, or you're going to choose to do homesteading, it's a lifestyle. You don't quit. And that's what it basically, I think, boils down to. But
that's true. But where do you get
your
motivation, your grit, to be able to push through these hard times? And for us, I think a lot of it had to do with faith.
Absolutely.
In God's plan. We knew God led us to do this.
Especially when we got here. When we found, to see the master plan all come together was kind of cool. Even, and I don't know how many of y'all heard this in our stories before, but the pigs and the cow that we have now actually came from 10 miles from here. And we had driven all the way up here to get them, but now we live up here. And when we first came to this homestead, it wasn't to look to buy it, it was to help somebody else out. So to see that all come together, I think definitely helps us continue to keep going.
I think number one is faith. Like I said, God led us to do this.
Absolutely.
And he's never let us down, because every time that we've had one of these heartbreaks happen, we had other things that happened shortly after that. Kind of, if our fire was dying out, it definitely come in and it fanned it to light it back up. Whether it was one of our customers that was buying stuff from us, you know, said some real nice things about us on our Facebook page, or, you know, would tell us how great something of ours was and that they really enjoyed it, and you know, something like that. Or if somebody wanted to get out of chickens and we were still able to double our flock because somebody just came along and said,
we don't need them anymore.
We don't want them anymore. We're getting transferred. The Army's moving us, whatever. You know, and then I think another very important part to being able to stay motivated, to keep your fire lit for homesteading, is your family. If everybody's on board and everybody has the desire, when one person gets frustrated or gets down, you've got the other people to be able to bring them back up.
Grandpa, maybe I'm reading this wrong, but he says if after everything you've been through and had the pleasure of raising all the critters, and you're asking where to get the motivation to move forward, then you need to reconsider this lifestyle. Well, that's the whole point of what we're saying is that sometimes you have those moments where it's a reality check or a gut check, and I need to reconsider this lifestyle.
Yeah.
You got to do that gut check and try to remember, why am I doing this? And really, that's what it boils down to with us. It's
you've got to remember the why.
Right, exactly. And the thing is a lot of times you can't unlearn something. You know, once you learn the truth about something, you have to make a conscious decision to go against that truth at that point. So, like, knowing how pigs are raised in commercial farms, knowing how chickens are raised, we're surrounded by that here. You know, remembering that truth and realizing this is why, you know, like Grandpa says, he could never imagine not having his critters around, not raising his own food. I never think of it as a problem. It's my life. We've gotten there now, but the bigger point of this conversation is for those people who are not there yet because they've suffered a couple hardships. That's one of the things he said is that, you know, it sounded to him like we just had the normal learning curve. Yeah. But that's what we're getting to. That's what
we're talking about is that learning curve. Even when you have that learning curve, there's going to be a time when it's a gut check. Mm-hmm. Okay, why am I really doing this? Why did I choose to do this? And you have to re-educate yourself, for lack of a better term, because I can't think of the word, to answer your whys again. Why did we choose to do this? You know, okay, well, originally when we chose to start doing this was financial. We were trying to find ways to lower grocery bills.
Right.
And then we started learning more about food and where it was coming from, how it was being raised. And we watched movies like Food Inc., Food Matters. Right. And that really lit a fire for us. And it's like, well, sometimes you might have to go back and just rewatch that movie.
Right.
You know? And then another thing that you always have to tell yourself when you have a big heartache happen is that I'm now wiser.
Right. And
that one will never happen again.
That's right.
And I think for us, our faith and that one alone has helped us push through when we've had those hard, gut-wrenching heartaches. They helped us go, okay, you know what? Okay, you got me this time.
Mm-hmm. Not going to do it
Not
again.
going to happen again.
Mm-hmm.
Now, and again, it's different now than it was a decade ago for a beginning homesteader, because unfortunately, a lot of these skills are not being taught. They weren't taught to us,
right,
as we were coming up. Now, some of us in our generation and a little bit older, they got taught. Like, we got taught, my grandfather taught me a little bit of beekeeping, gardening, you know, hunting, trapping, fishing. I had a little bit of that foundation, you know, and then we just built upon it. Right. But some people are waking up, and they're coming from this where they have absolutely no background in it whatsoever. And now you have groups like the Homestead Network that we lean on each other. Like, I don't mean to keep bringing him up, even though I know he likes it when I keep bringing him up. But we watched Go for Green's, one of his videos again tonight, when he was talking about Off the Grid with Doug and Stacy. And how he made that phone call and it helped save his goat. Right. 10, 15 years ago,
we didn't have that community like that.
You know, because they're Go for Greens in Alabama, and I can't remember where Doug and Stacy are, but they're states apart.
Right.
You know, where now it was just a phone call, and he was like, "Hey, do A, B, and C, boom," and it saved the goat. So when you have a network like the Homesteading Network is now what Brad has built or is building, now you have people that you can reach out to and go, I've never seen this before. I thought it was this, and I did this and it didn't work, but now I get to I can reach out to this person, and you get that information, and you can come back and fix your issue and learn from it. Right. And it's one of those things that I say it all the time, that a rising tide rises all ships, and that's just an example of how having a community of fellow homesteaders, preppers, off the gridders, whatever, that you guys can help each other and lean on each other, and that helps people get motivated. Right. You know, when you try to go through this thing completely 100% on your own, you may reach a time when you're like, I'm done. When all it could really take is a phone call from somebody who's living the lifestyle with you and be like, oh, dude, I've been there. But this is what I learned. This is what I've done. And you go back and do it, wham, bam, and you're good to go.
Right. Well, like a good example, and this isn't really like a hardship thing, but like we've been watching Off-Grid Kid, and he's getting all excited about homeschooling. And I know you did a video for him the other day to kind of tell him,
I look rough too, boy.
We've been in this for a while, and here are some different things. Like, I know you're planning on trying this, but if that doesn't work, this is what worked for us, kind of thing.
I sent him right after that video, right after I worked out. I didn't even take a shower. I didn't take a shower or anything. If he has smell-o-vision, he probably only watched like 2 seconds.
Probably.
I turned it off.
Doug and Stacy are in Missouri. So they're not too far apart. I mean, it's still... yeah, I'm not even going to go there. So one of the things that's going on, Sandra said that eggs are now being brought in from India. And she said, yes, they're very cheap at the store, like 69 cents a dozen, imported from India. Haven't seen that yet here, but I can tell you from a different perspective, we're surrounded by chicken farms. And so we get to see chickens hauled almost daily off to slaughter, and it's kind of nasty to watch. So.
Okay, so India.
Yeah, I don't know how that's even economical, and how can you sell them for 69 cents a dozen?
Well, I mean, our wonderful, almighty, powerful leaders of the government decided. Now that's tea in that jug. It's not the moonshine. It's tea.
No, it's just tea. We went to a local
We brew our own mead, and we make wine from our grapes. And in Athens, Georgia, there is completely off the subject, by the way, but squirrel. There is a
look who's here.
who is
Brian. He said your eggs are amazing and hand delivered by Blaze.
oh, Pastor Brian.
Yeah.
Oh, my pastor's here. But anyway, never mind. The pastor's in the room. Changing the subject. No, there's a company out in Athens where you can buy your home brewery.
All your brewing supplies.
Mm-hmm. And they sell these
growlers.
And that cost us, what, $20?
Well, yeah.
And we got it full of root beer.
It was really good. They brew it themselves there.
Mm-hmm. It was the best tasting root beer ever. And we got this fancy cap that helps keep the bubbles.
But what we learned is, and I'm sure you all, if you don't know this, as soon as I say it, you'll go, oh, I didn't think about that. But when we brew tea daily at our house, and we used to keep it in a clear pitcher, and it seemed like it would sour pretty quickly. Well, when we got finished with the root beer that was in this, it's an amber glass, and so it doesn't let the...
Is that like amber waves of grain?
It doesn't let the sun in as quickly, and so it doesn't spoil. And yes, it looks like an old moonshine container, but...
Just a good old boy.
But anyway... Where's the link for the root beer? Well, I don't know where you would be able to get it around here. This is literally sold in Athens. I'll see if I can show it to you a little bit closer.
Close up
time. But it says Growlers 5 points. It's a brew supply. That's where we get it from. And the really cool thing about that bottle is we can take it back and get it refilled, and we don't have to pay
for another bottle.
So that's cool.
So what we're probably going to just keep that bottle, go buy another bottle.
Yeah.
Just because we use it for tea.
Because the bottle, the jug itself was only like $5.
I thought it was more than that.
No, it was $5 for the container and then $1 for the cap. And so what I said to you was I can't even get a really nice pitcher at Walmart for $5. So that's what.
Okay. Well, we're running now. We got about 10 minutes left before we have to take the pigskin and hand it off to Go for Green Living.
Mm-hmm.
Before we go any further, does anybody have any questions about tonight's topic whatsoever?
Oh, I do have one thing. Grandpa asked earlier, and I forgot about this. He did what we asked him to do, put it in all caps, and I'm sure he probably thought we were ignoring him, but there was so much going on in conversation. He asked what kind of livestock we raise. So will you tell him real quick what all we raise?
We have 1 beef steer, 3 dairy we got 1 dairy cow, 2 dairy heifers.
Mm-hmm.
We got merino sheep. We have chickens.
Lots of chickens.
Ducks, quail, geese, honeybees. Sheep. I already said sheep.
Oh, you said a donkey?
No, a donkey. Yeah, we got a donkey. And donkey came with the homestead.
Yeah.
Here, come by our homestead and we'll give you 1 free donkey. That's because they couldn't catch him.
I think that's it.
I think that's it. And fish.
Yeah.
We got fish in our pond, so I claim those. And we are going to set up a time to go visit Go for Green Living when he lets me know his fingerlings for tilapia.
And dogs. We have dogs. Dog. Yeah, we actually.
It was a little.
Kind of sad.
It was a
It's not funny.
Anyway.
Uh-oh. Carol said we can't give away David. That's the name of our donkey.
And, where was that? Go for Green Living.
Go for Green, yeah.
We're going to go down there and get, when he tells me that they're ready, we're going to go down there and get some tilapia
Well, I also want to take notes on his
aquaponic system because ours just fails miserably for us. But okay, we're at T-minus 5.
About 5 minutes.
5 minutes.
So,
Okay. We are going to have a very special guest next week.
Yes.
It's not going to be me and Mama. Mama's probably going to be tucked off to the side, controlling the comments, just because the screen's not big enough. Unless I figure out a way to move the laptop around where it can get wider. But we are bringing our sheep shearer, Brett Schwager. Is that his name? Schwager. He's coming up next week, and we are going to talk sheep.
So know now that we're going to be talking about that and shearing and taking care of your sheep and what you do with them, what's good to have on your pasture and things of that nature.
So basically it's going to be kind of like an interview thing. I'm going to get a list of questions. So if you guys have a specific question that you want me to ask him, go ahead and shoot us a message on our Facebook page or on the YouTube, or if you know our email address, bigbearfarms@hotmail.com. You can email us at bigbearfarms@hotmail.com. And we will ask him, we'll have these questions for him to ask.
Right.
We're also going to open it up in the chat box, so if you guys think of one and you don't think of one and it just pops in your head at like 8:05, then boom, you'll still be able to ask those questions then.
Right.
He knows his sheep.
Yes. No. Really? You're so bad.
I met him when we were on the board through the Hobby Farmers Association of the CSRA down in Augusta. When I eventually became president of that thing and then turned it loose. He gave a class on sheep then, and that's basically we were on the fence. Sheep or goats? Sheep or goats? Sheep or goats? I wanted both. She doesn't like goats.
I'm not crazy about goats.
She's a goatist. She's not a racist. She's a goatist.
Yeah.
And so that pushed us over the line to go to sheep. And he's been shearing our sheep every year ever since. And he's a sheep whisperer, I think, because not this time, but the time before last, I was like, "You think she's pregnant?" He was like, "Yeah, she's pregnant. She'll have it."
It's very early.
It's very early, but
she will.
She'll have it. And pow! Lamb popped out on my wife's birthday.
Yep.
This time he said the same thing. So we're going to be looking right around
within
Mama's birthday.
Month.
Yep, right around Mama's birthday. Pow! For another lamb.
Yep.
So he has his shearing business. They trim hooves, so you can ask him questions about sheep, goats, llamas, alpacas.
Yeah, all that stuff. So
all
he knows all of
so
those kind of anything having to do with the fiber. He's pretty knowledgeable about.
He's got some kidneys.
Yeah.
So if you know somebody that is thinking about sheep and they don't come to the show, you smack them around a little bit for not coming to the shows, but then you tell them that Brett's going to be on, and bow.
Yep.
We'll have a good time with that. So it's about time for us to say goodnight. Go over to Go for Green Living. Just search them on the YouTube if you're not a subscriber for them.
Or you can go to the homesteadnetwork.com and you can go to them through that way too. That's how some people found us that way. Yeah.
Yeah, you can do that too. Go over there to them. I promise you're going to learn something. You're going to be entertained. They are great people. So we're about to say goodnight. And Daniel, Krista, give us a couple of minutes. Don't get into the good stuff. Let us close everything down.
I got to go to the bathroom.
So, once again, thanks for coming by. If this is your first time here, please go ahead and subscribe to us on YouTube. And don't forget, you got Go for Green Living next. And you got Off the Grid Kid and everybody on Saturday. And then you got the Big Family Homestead and everybody on Sunday. Once again, thank you guys for coming by. God bless. Y'all have a wonderful weekend. And like always, have a nice day.